Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire, follows the story of a young farmer named Cora who, feeling a bit rebellious whilst on a moon, decides the Empire, or Motherworld or whatever, can go suck a fat one. When they come a knocking demanding all their grain to feed their spaceship for some reason, she promptly buggers off planet hopping to pick up a ragtag group of fighters to protect her humble village from intergalactic grain thieves. The trope of gathering together a team to do a job is a tried and true one, where normally the team all meet up in the first act, bond in the second, and pull off whatever it is they're doing in the third. Rebel Moon takes this first act and stretches it to last the whole film, jumping from planet to planet while we're introduced to each member of the team just long enough to know what they look like before they disappear into the ship like they're Pokemon being added to a Pokedex, not to be seen again until the final bout of fisticuffs. Sofia Boutella does a good job with what she's been given as Cora, but is the only character we get to know in the slightest as she Ash Ketchums her way across the universe trying to be the very best, the best there ever was, with all the quiet bits between character collections spent with her sat on the floor telling sad stories of the kings of old. The plot of Rebel Moon is clearly Seven Samurai in space, and that's not inherently a bad thing. Most stories are based on or inspired by older stories, that's normal. But it's not just Seven Samurai. There's a ton of other shit in it. Viking culture, Asian culture, Star Wars, The Matrix, Avatar, Tomb Raider, Gladiator, speciality pornography, regular pornography, and hell, The Rebellion are just straight out of Final Space. There's all kinds of shit from multiple sources, all just sort of crammed in there with no real thought to how it would all fit together, which leaves the plot in a mess, with gaping holes in logic and the world they're trying to build. For starters, the backstory is all over the place. The aforementioned kings of old were murked and replaced by a warmongering asshole who's the bad guy, right? Anthony Hopkins' Titus Androidicus, who will only follow the orders of the now-dead king, talks of a time before of rainbows and love, but Cora's backstory is of a soldier in the Imperial Army, under the king, who was also a warmongering asshole, but different because sometimes he felt bad about it, but not enough to, do anything about it. The rebels are equally confusing. They're led by the Blood Axes, who have ne'er a blood axe between them and aren't seen rebelling against anything. In Star Wars, the opening scene is a battle between the rebels and the Empire, so we know where we are right from the bat. In this, they're the rebels because we're told they are, but mostly they just stand around like the kind of people who have meetings about what the next meeting is going to be about. Then there's the central stakes of the film, the Seven Samurai-ness of it all. The basics are that Cora lives on a moon. It's a nice moon. The Empire, or whatever, has come to steal all their resources and starve its people. Okay, cool. But it's not a moon. It's a village on a moon. The Galactic Empire has sent a massive ship via space vagina to this village specifically. This village in the middle of fucking nowhere. A village also that isn't even the largest settlement on this moon. And what do they want in this village? To enslave its population? To mine its resources? No, they want their grain. The grain of a village of maybe 50 to 100 people. Grain. For their spaceship. A spaceship which they can use to travel anywhere in their vast empire via space vagina at any time. Not only does this make no sense, there's actually a better story elsewhere in the film. Later on, as they're planet hopping, they go to a mining planet to meet the lass with the off-brand lightsabers. There we also meet a giant spider-person centaur lady that's native to the planet. Anyway, Gwen Stacy here kidnaps a human girl and when confronted explains that the Empire's mining of the planet has ruined her world, killed her children and brought her kind to the edge of extinction. Spider Lady's story is already better than Cora's. Yeah, she's gone a bit far with the child kidnapping thing, but they could have probably talked her down from that. They should be trying to get her on the team. In fact, fuck their village and its grain. Her stakes are way higher than Cora's. These guys should be on her team defending her planet, the selfish dicks. But no, instead, Off-Brand Lightsabers empathizes, admits that several good points have been made, but that kidnapping the kid was a step too far and that revenge is never the answer, before promptly killing her, rescuing the kid, and being added to Cora's Pokedex. As far as revenge is never the answer, later they go to Gladiator 2 World to pick up the guy who was in Gladiator 1, but he's drunk and can't be fucked to join the team, so Cora says, well, do it for revenge, while Off-Brand Lightsabers watches on without comment. Rebel Moon suffers the same fate that most Netflix films do, in that it feels like it was about 3 rewrites away from being finished. There's a lot of potential here, but it's lost in disjointed threads, forgotten characters, and little mistakes here and there. Even the title card at the beginning gets the title the wrong way around. implying there's more to this than there is. In other places, Zack Snyder's aesthetic flair, which I normally like, is used to polish over some of this turd, with choices made just because they look cool over whether or not they make sense. Such as at the beginning of the film when they ride off on space horses to start their adventure. Well, at the end they ride space horses back into town so they can look cool on the horizon, even though they originally rode into town just to get a spaceship, which they now have and could have just flown straight to the village. And then there's the issue of action scenes that are hobbled by an over-reliance on slow motion, or the use of slow motion to make mundane actions seem slightly more exciting than they are. Example of both of these things can be found in the barn fight towards the beginning of the film. At the start of the fight, Cora takes out two dudes in quick succession, which looks tight as shit, but this is how it appears in the actual film. Shortly after this, she flips a dude face first into the dirt, and it goes into ultra slow motion to make it more interesting. When played at full speed, it's almost nothing. If you want to see the full comparison for this scene, there's one on the Badger's Apprentice shorts feed, which I've linked down in the thingy-bob below. It could be argued that it's hard to judge Rebel Moon because it's just part 1 of 2, so it's half a film. But it's not even that. Writer and director Zack Snyder has said that there's going to be a 3-hour R-rated director's cut, so this is like a third of a film. But then Snyder said that the director's cut is almost like a different movie, so this is none of a film. And by the way, director's cuts are supposed to be a treat for fans and film historians years down the line, not an automatic mulligan you give yourself and announce before the original's even been released. And if you factor the needless and excessive slow motion out of this non-film, we start to go into negative runtime. So there we have it, Rebel Moon, a film that's out now but might be better later. Holy shit, maybe the title was the right way around after all. Anyway, I was going to give this 3 out of 10, but because it made me do math, it gets bumped down to 2. You can catch the normal version on Netflix now and the completely different film version by clicking on a completely different film.